Hey, boos. Hey, it is your girl, the Rising Phoenix Empath, coming at you from Maryland. And I wanted to jump on real quick. And the last video I did was 8 indications of a generational curse. I wanted to jump on real quick today. And I wanted to give you 8 spirits attached to the indications of a generational curse. So let's get to it. Okay, number 1. Was prevalent mental illness within the family, and the spirit attached to that particular indication is a spirit of derangement, right? Deranged, and derangement can range, right? These people may never commit crimes, right? But they do baffling things, they do troubling things, and in some cases, these people go on to commit the most horrific crimes that you'll hear about. Doing the most unthinkable and unimaginable things to other people, right? And we try to understand it, but what we can't understand, why we can't understand, is that it's not human. And so we're trying to understand a very spiritual thing with our human minds, and we just can't fathom it because it's really the spirit behind it. Well, all the spirits are not human, right? But this is a non-human demonic thing. That we could never really wrap our heads around. And so the spirit of derangement, like I said, could range from them doing just very mean-spirited and hateful things and troubling things throughout their life, which causes a disconnection in relationship between them and other people, to the most heinous of crimes. Okay? And number 2, I'm going to put my glasses on real quick. Number 2 was 8 indications of spiritual generational curse within the family. Unwed women with multiple children by different men, and this is a spirit of unsureness, right? And when I say a spirit of unsureness, I mean a spirit of unsureness, a spirit of instability, and a spirit of insecurity, where these women don't know their strength, they don't know their power, and they don't know their worth. And they go through life looking for that in men and other people, and people validating who they are, and they get lost in these relationships, and they give away babies like candy. And it's, there's no judgment here. Life, we're all on our path, we're all growing, and so there's no judgment here for these people. But these people are very insecure people who just don't know who they are, and eventually they'll figure it out. They will, but this is where they are right now in their walk, right, in this journey. And so when you see, and it is a generational curse, people not knowing their worth, people not knowing their strength and their power, that is definitely a generational curse, and it can be brought on by so many different things, right? Number 3, third indication of generational curse within a family, prevalent history of incarceration of the men, and this is a spirit of bondage. And it's the same thing, it kind of ties into number 2, men really not knowing their place, really not knowing their purpose, really not knowing who they are and the kings that they are, and they kind of just go through life making the wrong decisions, really looking for love and validation from other men in some cases, because they didn't have fathers, in most cases, because we know that most men that are incarcerated lack the father figure in the home, right? And so this is just a spirit of bondage. And that spirit of bondage encompasses really not knowing your self-worth, and and needing to find that in other things and places. Okay. Number 4, generations of people within a family living on the system. This is the spirit of sleepness and not being awakened to who they are. It ties into 2 and 3 people. The spirit of sleepiness is just not really the opposite of being woke or awakened, okay? People who don't know who they are, who don't know their worth, who don't know their potential, whose potential is not only unrealized, but because it's unrealized, it'll never be on the table to actually and try to bring that potential to fruition. And so they're stuck in the system, in the systematic you know, a systematic, you know, process of you know, just generational. The grandmother, the mother, the children, the grandchildren, and nobody can see further than what their eyes show them. Right? They have no vision. And this is the spirit of sleepiness. Right? The spirit of not being woke and not really knowing who you are and not seeing that systematic racism plays a big part in it, because these are specific communities of people, right, who have been disenfranchised and who are stuck in a system, locked in a system, and not only can they get out, can they not get out of this system, but they don't even seek to in most cases. Okay, because this is generational. Now, not just somebody who needs help. We all need help. Nothing wrong with needing help. Nothing wrong with using those resources when needed, but it's an issue when this is a generational, systematic thing from great-grandmother to the great-great-grandchild. That's a generational curse, and it's the spirit attached to that is the spirit of sleepiness. Number 5, an entire family of people who exhibit deviant behavior is a spirit of immorality. Okay? The spirit of immorality, they do a range of things from thievery to murder, to sexual deviance. There's nothing off the table for the spirit of immorality. And you've seen these people within the community, right? Everybody's afraid of them, right? And they've never been caught, even though they've done certain things that we all know that they've done, but nobody will tell because we're afraid of them, right? People are generally afraid of this family because they know they mean business, they're crazy, and they don't really operate from a moral or even humanistic ideology and worldview. Okay? And that is the spirit of immorality. Number 6, history of prevalent adultery within a family. And that could be male or female. That's not just men, because women are adulterers too. Okay? I'm acknowledging that. And for the women, the female succubus, they feed off male life source, which is semen. Okay? And that is what that spirit feeds off of. And when you see a woman who is an adulterous woman, who is a very promiscuous woman, she has that succubus spirit attached to her, and the spirit of male, or the spirit of the incubus spirit is attached to that male, and they seek women for satisfaction, and they never really gain the satisfaction that they seek, but this is what they do. Number 7. A man who abandons his family and children is a vagabond spirit. Now, we hear that spirit in the Bible that usually describes a woman being a vagabond who will reduce a man to a loaf of bread. Vagabonds can be men as well. And this wandering spirit, this hobo spirit, will wander looking for purpose, looking to be fulfilled, never really, and again, it's all attached to self-worth, right? And self-loathing and self-hate. Right, not knowing who they are and finding validation, and just going and womanizing. Okay, and so that's a vagabond spirit. And last but not least, number 8, women with a family that lose babies, whether they have miscarriages or lose children. This is a spirit of premature death, and this spirit is usually attached to families of women who have very profound spiritual gifts, who have very profound insight, and the babies that they have a very profound purpose, and the enemy's number one task at hand is to keep them from even being born into the atmosphere at all. So those are the 8 spirits attached to the 8 indications of a generational curse within the family. I hope this was helpful. And the good thing is, if you recognize any of these things, that just because there's a generational curse doesn't mean it has to be so, and you have to operate in it. And that's the next video, how not to.